Hello everybody, I'm Lorii Abela, your host here at Scale Up. I am a matchmaker, hypnotherapist, real estate investor, and here in this show we talk to a foreign-born residents here who talks about their American dreams and local successes. And of course, there's also some challenges in between. So our guest tonight is Bobby Taruc, who is a rainmaker, Team Taruc of Keller Williams, Premier Properties Brokerage in Wheaton, Illinois, and Keller Williams Peace River Partners, Punta Gorda, Florida. His business volume is at $6 million, enrolling for 12 months. How are you, Bobby?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So that involves a lot of traveling, I would imagine, because like you're the first person I think that I have interviewed. Like you have two coverages, Illinois and Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. This past about a week ago now, we spent the last 8 weeks in Florida and really have gotten to kickstart our business, because the reality of the real estate business is that it's still handshake to handshake type of business, regardless that there's a lot of other technology advances, and social media of course is a big thing, but still it's still a handshake to handshake business.
That makes sense. And so as far as like not sure, has Florida become your favorite? Because like, you know, they have different weather over there.
Yeah, I think being used to the warmer weather, of course, coming from the Philippines, I feel like I've given enough of my time in Illinois and shoveling snow. So I would love to be able to spend equal time both in Illinois and in Florida and be able to serve clients in both states.
That makes sense. So can you describe the current real estate market trends in both Florida and Illinois? How do you compare them?
Yeah, let me start with Illinois first, being that we're in Chicago. Northern Illinois for the most part is very unique. I'm focused on DuPage County, which is the western suburbs communities. In DuPage, we have a severe housing shortage, that is. Homes, as they get on the market, they get under contract pretty fast. And the inventory continues to decline year over year. Now, Cook County has a slightly different story. It's still a seller's market, but it's not, the way I see it, it's not as bad as DuPage. Homes are still getting sold, still a seller's market. The other outlying counties are getting a little bit softer. The way I see it, they've been impacted a whole lot by interest rates. Interest rates are pretty high right now. Now, in Southwest Florida, where I'm focused on mainly Charlotte County, Charlotte County is between Sarasota and Fort Myers, and then Sarasota County and Lee County. I'm a little bit familiar with what's going on in those counties and communities. Southwest Florida right now, the market's really soft. It's turning into a buyer's market. Almost every day I get notifications from an app and also from Zillow where things are there are price reductions almost on a daily basis. And I'm seeing that left and right in Southwest Florida. I think the reason is that, number one, again, the interest rates. And number two, I think that a lot of people are finding out the cost of living in Southwest Florida is becoming unaffordable. People are getting hit with inflation. And there was a comment on a Facebook group saying, it's half of Port Charlotte on sale right now because it seemed like every other house is on the market. So there's a lot of, I think, in-migration, out-migration in Southwest Florida right now. So in summary, a short answer to your question, inflation is one thing, and I think the high interest rates impacting a lot of people.
So are you saying that there are not much construction because there's a shortage of supply?
Believe it or not, there are still new builders are still building in Florida. That is, they're building houses still, but the ones that are being built, I'm seeing also price reductions on those. For $460,000 house for $30,000 house. The builders are cutting off $30,000 off the asking price.
Wow.
Here in Northern Illinois, the builders are still building because we have a severe housing shortage inventory in Northern Illinois. So builders like Lennar or Ryan Homes, they're still building out in the further burbs where there's more land. Kane County is one, Kendall County is one. So the builders are still building, but you probably know this, that the price of commodities are just increasing. So the construction materials pricing are still increasing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
inflation is still a reality for us.
Okay. And so what is the major city in DuPage? Because you said you're focusing in DuPage.
Naperville is one, which is an adjoining town where we live. We have working with a client right now who they love Naperville. And of course, a lot of people want to live in Naperville. So that is one prime example to me. Naperville is a microcosm of what's happening in DuPage, where as soon as a house hits the market, it gets sold right away. I'll give you one last example. This past Sunday, we showed this particular house. It was a modest home in Naperville. For that particular Sunday, the listing agent was telling me the traffic was light, but there were probably, at one point in time, there were probably 20 people in the house touring it. And that was just within a span of 10 minutes. She told me Saturday before, there was a ton of people. So it's still in DuPage, multiple offers, people competing for homes above asking price.
Yeah, because recently I read that I don't know what particular magazine was saying that Naperville is one of the best places to live. That's what they were saying.
Yes, in fact, I was just showing that article in Fox 32 off my phone on Facebook. Yes, Naperville is a sought-after town. I think the biggest attraction there, aside from having a great downtown, the park district spends a lot of money on the parks. The school districts are really amazing.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well, like top 40 something of the United States. I was thinking, wow, okay.
That's been the reality. We've lived in Warrenville for 20 years now, and it's always been like that. So it continues to be. The city is well managed. The park district is very well managed. So a lot of good things happening in that city.
Okay, all right. Maybe that's the second city of Illinois now after Chicago. Okay, all right. So how do the demographics and economic factors in each state impact the real estate market? You delved with a little bit about it, but maybe you can explain further.
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me talk about Southwest Florida first. Of course, it's a retirement for the most part. It's a retirement community, but there's a lot of younger generations as well that live and play and move to Southwest Florida. Sarasota is one. There's younger population in there as well. I was surprised when I went to a public pickleball court. There were a lot of young people playing pickleball. So that gave me a picture of actually young people still want to live and play and work in Southwest Florida. But the reality is in Port Charlotte and Charlotte County, there's a lot of retired people there. So understandably, there's a lot of Filipino physical therapists and nurses and caregivers that are also living in Charlotte County or Port Charlotte for that matter. So it's a mixed bag, more so in the county that we have a place in. There's a lot more retired people. There's a lot of snowbirding as well. People go down south for the winter and then they fly back north when the cold weather, of course, stops or moderates. So it's a mixed bag, but mostly it's retired people in Southwest Florida. Now, I say that because there's a lot of discretionary spending as well. For example, we're dealing with a client right now from, I think she lives in Lockport or Lemont. She wants $1 million home in Clearwater. But it takes a longer time for her to make that decision and pull the trigger. So for the younger generation, they need a home right away. They'll make a faster decision for a less than $300,000 house in Southwest Florida. So it's a mixed bag of demographics in Southwest Florida, from Clearwater all the way to, even if you go all the way to Fort Myers. Now in Northern Illinois, of course, it's a mixed bag of generations as well, but more so people are purchasing homes mainly because it's a need. It's a basic human need. So for lower price points, they make faster decisions. For those that are more discretionary housing, for example, they need $1 million home. There was one client that we were looking for. She wanted 3 acres and she wanted a 3-car garage, and her budget was $1 million. That took a longer time. In fact, they're postponing that purchase right now. So higher price points, older generation, taking a longer bit of decision-making process. But for the younger generation, they need it's a need right away, so they pull the trigger faster.
Okay, all right. And when I think like maybe the younger generation also are much quick in making decisions. Like the elder ones are like, okay, like they're used with the culture. Okay, hold and wait. So maybe that's one psychology there too.
Yeah, that's a good point for the younger generation. Actually, that they sense that hey, we really need to be independent. They make that decision right away. But in the same token as well, I'm sad to see that actually the younger generation are getting hit with very high interest rates, and that's pushing some of the younger generation out of the market. So it's a mixed bag, and I feel for the young generation that is. But there was a report that the millennials are about to inherit trillions and trillions of dollars from their parents. So
wow.
We'll see. When they inherit that money, they may pull the trigger faster.
Okay, all right. So maybe that's in Florida. Like, you know, the rich people from New York who's buying in Florida. Maybe
that's nationwide.
Connecticut.
That's nationwide, apparently.
Nationwide. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay. So what are some emerging trends or opportunities in the real estate industry specific to Florida and Illinois?
Now, in Illinois, for someone who has the capitalization, there's a lack of multifamily housing. Meaning, let's say, for example, there's a building, either 6 units or 12 units, that is. If they have the capitalization, if that goes on the market right away, if I had the money, I would purchase that right away, because there's always a need for rental units, that is. The home ownership in the U.S. is around between 60 to 65%, and the ownership percentage doesn't seem to be changing. So there'll always be the need for rental units. So I think in a multi-unit family, that is a big opportunity. In Florida, because of the softness of the market, for someone who has the extra cash and the ability to get a loan on a second home, I think it would be wise for them to purchase a second property in Florida and make that a short-term rental for Airbnb, VRBO, or Bookings.com. That's what my counsel is to people who have the discretionary income. In fact, I just met with a buyer. He's a banking executive for Old National Bank, and now he's looking at purchasing something in Clearwater, St. Pete, because he has a little bit of capitalization. His main focus was the ability to be able to rent that on a short-term basis, meaning Airbnb and VRBO. I think that's the biggest opportunity right now in Southwest Florida, to have that property and use it for personal use for a portion of the time and then lease it. I think that continues to be the main opportunity in Southwest Florida.
Okay, you were talking about Airbnb. So do you intend to help them managing because they're not from there, or how does it work?
There's a lot of entities, believe it or not, that have perfected that. There's even small businesses like husband and wife. They look after the house. There's one couple or one dad that I know of. He manages 13 units for an owner that actually lives in the UK.
Wow.
So managing if the door locks are all based on apps, if they don't work, he works on them, he fixes them, he can even replace a water heater. So that's one prime example. There are a lot of people like that they incorporate their business unit. They can clean the house, they'll maintain the house as well, change out the linens, do the laundry for that unit, and then prepare it for the next guest. So people have perfected that model at this point in time.
Okay, that's good. So Are there any particular neighborhoods or areas within Florida and Illinois that are experiencing rapid growth or are particularly attractive to buyers?
Yeah, I want to answer this question at a more macro level because there's a certain notion in housing laws that we're not supposed to be steering clients in a specific neighborhood. So I'll just answer that on a higher level. It always has been where there's a shorter commute. I think people are valuing now their time. And I think people are also opting for less days in the office and the ability to work remotely. What that means is that it's a crucial balance with commute time to the job and also to where family is. I'll give you one example. There was the person that sold their condo to us about 2 years ago, moved back to Michigan because they wanted to be close to their family. So I think family as a fundamental need of people, being close to, for example, being close to mom and dad or close to grandma and grandpa, they can help take care of the grandkids. I think that's still a very fundamental need. It has to be balanced as well with the commute to work. I think that's still a very basic need because a lot of corporations now are requiring people back to the office, sometimes 100%, sometimes it's only 50, 60%. So I think that's a big balance. So where the jobs are located, I think healthcare is still a very big deal. People are choosing to be close to their doctors or hospitals. And that's the same case as well, of course, in Southwest Florida because healthcare is a fundamental need. It's an aging population that want to be close to the hospitals. I'm glad that Sarasota Medical or Hospital is opening up a hospital in Port Charlotte pretty soon of I-75 and Toledo Plate, I think is a major intersection. So I think for Southwest Florida, being close to the doctors and hospitals, I think is a fundamental need. Not so much, I think, in Northern Illinois, but still very important. But I think in Northern Illinois, being close to family is one thing, being close to the jobs and shopping is another fundamental need. Last example in this one, we were talking to a buyer client this past, was that Saturday? I can't remember now. The past few days, Sunday. They wanted to be in downtown Naperville because they just love downtown Naperville. The shopping, the restaurants, of course. So I think being close to commercial centers still is a great need as well for a lot of the buyers out there.
Yeah, because they want to be not traveling far in order to get coffee or something.
Yeah, precisely. I think people have realized that our time is very important. And I think we're very leery of spending a lot of time on the road. The traffic on 290 coming in inbound, even at almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, was pretty hectic. So I think people are valuing time more nowadays. I think that's very important.
I can understand that, and I believe some people would like to be close to the train station because that's easy peasy for them. Like they just park their car, they take the train, they don't have to be worried about the traffic situation, so they can read a book or something.
Yeah, precisely. There's one buyer client that I was talking about that we had talked Sunday. The gal loves downtown Chicago, so they love being close to the train station in Naperville.
Yeah, I have friends who lives in the suburbs, and then that's the thing with them. Like, let's say we're gonna have a dinner, and so they're always looking at their watch. Okay, what time is it? Because I might miss my train. But it's working for them because obviously they just have to maximize whatever they can because that's where they chose to live.
Yeah, precisely.
Okay. And so what advice would you give to real estate buyers to be successful in their investment?
I've heard this story multiple times, and it's not really corny, nor does it. It's a key reminder to me. There's a story about a person seeing a huge maple tree, really well grown, broad leaves, and the branches are broad. It looks like it's very mature. And the person is looking at the tree and thinking to himself, imagining the allegory of the tree with the financial well-being of the person. And he's thinking to himself that, I wish I had planted this tree a long time ago. Or I wish I had started saving or purchased this house or whatever grows financially in essence, a non-depreciating asset. Because as this person is looking at the tree, this could have been my financial future in essence. I tell the story because there's never a good time to start saving for retirement. There's never a good time for purchasing a house or making a down payment on a house. There's never a good time to, if you wanted to make a change in career, to get started or enroll in the college course, for example, that you really wanted. There's never a good time but today. So I say all that irrespective of the interest rate, irrespective of what the pundits are saying on CNBC about the market's going to crash or there's going to be a change in the process of how homes are going to be sold. There's going to be a softness in the pricing. Trying to convince us is now is not the best time to purchase. Actually, the time is today. So start saving today. Start buying that home that you really wanted today. You can always do a refinance later on if the rates go down, or pursue that career that you really wanted. It's never a good time but today.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because like real estate throughout the years has been like that, up and down anyway. So like it's gonna be going up sometime.
Even if you normalize the curve with the 2008 collapse, it's still, you can draw a straight line, it's 4% gain. And you can do the exact same thing with the stock market. Regardless of 1981, I think, when the stock market collapsed, or the Black Friday, all of the undulations of the stock market, you can draw a straight line and you can still have a consistent gain in essence if you normalize the curve.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about like the exchange rates of peso to US dollar rate going up and up and up. So do you intend to invest also in the Philippines?
I am thinking about that right now. We're focused on Florida for the time being.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm just curious because like you never know, maybe down the line in the future you want to go and live over there. Who knows?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But believe it or not, actually, the properties are appreciating faster in the Philippines actually.
Cool. All right. So for the people who are watching over here, if you're foreign born and you have dived into any business venture, we would like to have you over here so you can share with the people who are watching us all over the world actually. How are you actually scaling up your business? And just give us a holler and we'll see you here. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Lorii.
Okay.